Ms. Johnson, we've picked up 2 unattended children. They say you're their aunt. The officer said that, and my whole body went cold. 10 hours earlier, I'd finally told my sister, Rachel, "No, I'm not your free nanny anymore." Her reply, "You're single, Emma. Your life doesn't matter like mine does." Then she shoved her kids, Mia and Caleb, into a taxi with a half-written address and sent them across town alone. Standing in that police station, listening to them sob, I kept thinking, is this karma, revenge? Or am I the asshole for finally having a boundary? If you were me, what would you have done? Tell me in the comments, and subscribe if you want to hear how this story explodes next. My name is Emma Johnson, and in my family, I was born with a job, not a personality. I was the fixer, the babysitter, the one who said yes while everyone else said, "Ask Emma, she has no life." You ever feel like you're not a person, just a service? That was me for 30 years. Growing up, my older sister Rachel was the sun. Everything revolved around her, her grades, her recitals, her drama. My stuff was background noise. She got the big bedroom with the window. I got the tiny one by the washing machine. She got a car at 16. I got, "You're responsible, you'll figure it out." Even my college fund quietly disappeared to help with her 3rd major change. Whenever I questioned it, my mom had this line, "Emma, family sacrifices. You're the strong one. Be understanding." And I believed her. Being understanding became my whole identity. You need me to watch the kids? Sure. Need money? Okay, need me to cancel my plans so you can go live your life? Of course. Fast forward. I live in the city now with a decent job in finance and a small apartment I pay for myself. For the first time, I'm starting to feel like maybe I matter, and the only uncomplicated love I've ever had in my family is for my niece and nephew, Mia and Caleb. Those kids are my heart. When they're with me, I tie their shoes, warm up soup, read the same book 3 times because Caleb begs, "Again, Aunt Em." They look at me like I'm safe. Not convenient, not useful, safe. Which is why it hurt so much to watch how Rachel treated them. To her, they were more like props. Accessories she could drop off whenever she needed a self-care weekend or a wine tasting trip. She would call an hour before, sometimes 30 minutes. "Hey, I'm running out the door. Can you just take them? Be a good aunt. Don't make this complicated. You know I'm exhausted." And most of the time I caved. I'd cancel dates, blow off friends, work until 2 a.m. after they went to sleep. Because family sacrifice is great, right? But this year, something in me snapped. I was exhausted in a way sleep couldn't fix. I was tired of only being valuable when someone needed something. I was tired of feeling like a backup generator that only mattered when the main power, Rachel, went out. So here's the moment everything changed. It was a Thursday afternoon. I was at my desk prepping for a conference I'd been working on for months. This thing actually mattered for my career. I was in that focused zone when my phone lit up. Rachel. I already knew what was coming. I answered anyway. "Hey," she said, skipping hello. "I need you to take Mia and Caleb this weekend. Mark and I are going away. It's already booked." I took a breath. "I can't, Rachel. I've got a conference. I won't be home most of the weekend." Silence. 1 second. 2. Then her voice sharpened. "Are you serious right now?" "Yeah," I said. "I'm not available this weekend. You'll need to find someone else." She actually laughed, a short, mean sound. "Emma, you're single. You don't have kids. Your schedule is not that important." That one cut, but I pushed through it. "My life still matters, Rachel. I'm telling you no, I'm not able to do it." The temperature on the line dropped. She hissed, "You are so selfish. You're literally choosing PowerPoints over your own family." If you were me, what would you do in that moment? Because the old me would have caved. I would have apologized, begged, tried to reschedule my entire world to keep the peace. But this time, I didn't. "I'm not arguing about this," I said. "I'm not free. I'm not watching them this weekend." She sucked in a breath like I slapped her. Then she said the line that burned into my brain, "You're useless without us, Emma. Family is the only reason you matter." And then she hung up. That sentence broke something and freed something at the same time. I just sat there staring at my phone, shaking. Useless without them. like my entire existence was a resource they owned. I remember thinking, is this really how they see me? Am I just the help? And yeah, a part of me wondered, in that messed up, conditioned way, am I the asshole for finally saying no? That's the headspace I was in when the weekend started. The same weekend my sister decided to prove a point in the most dangerous way possible. If this already makes you angry or reminds you of your own family, let me know in the comments and share this with someone who needs to hear they're not crazy for setting boundaries. Because from here, it only gets worse. The weekend started cold and gray, the kind of morning where the city feels half asleep. I made coffee, opened my laptop, and tried to focus on my slides. In my mind, the worst thing I had to deal with was a tough question during the Q&A. I had no idea that across town, Rachel was setting up the kind of disaster you read on Am I the Asshole and think, no way someone actually did that. This is what I found out later. Rachel was packing for her trip, throwing clothes into a suitcase while Mia hovered in the hallway with her backpack on. "Are we going to Aunt Em's?" Mia asked. Rachel barely looked at her. "Yes, she'll be there. Get in the car." Caleb was half asleep, clutching his stuffed dinosaur. Rachel scribbled my street name on a piece of paper. Just the street. No apartment number, no side of the city, no call to ask if I was even home. In her head, it didn't matter. I always caught what she dropped. I honestly think this was her twisted version of revenge for my no. Prove I'd come running anyway. Prove I needed them more than they needed me. Back in my apartment, I didn't hear from her. No text, no call. I took that as a tiny win and went back to work. I finished one section, slipped on a blazer, checked the time. That's when my phone rang. Unknown number. Normally, I'd let it go to voicemail, but something in my stomach flipped. I answered. "Ms. Johnson?" A male voice asked. "Yes?" "This is Officer Blake with the 12th Precinct near the river. We have 2 children here, Mia and Caleb. They say you're their aunt." I felt the world tilt. My mug slipped from my hand, coffee splashed everywhere. "What?" My voice cracked. "What do you mean you have them? They're supposed to be home." He spoke slowly, like he'd said this too many times. "They were dropped off by a taxi at an incomplete address. They were found alone on the sidewalk, upset. A neighbor contacted us. We need you to come down and confirm guardianship." My brain kept looping the same thought. They're alone. They're scared. She did this. She did this because of me. I grabbed my keys and left in a blur. I barely remember the taxi ride. Every red light felt like punishment. When I walked into the station, everything narrowed. Fluorescent lights, scuffed floors, and 2 small shapes on a bench. Mia's face was streaked with tears. Caleb's hands shook around his dinosaur. When they saw me, they ran so hard into me I almost fell. "Aunt Em," Mia sobbed into my shoulder. "We didn't know where to go. The building didn't have your door." "The driver left," Caleb hiccuped. "We waited and waited." Their whole bodies were trembling. I pulled them into my coat like I could shield them from what had already happened. Officer Blake stepped forward with a clipboard. They were alone on that sidewalk for at least 20 minutes before the neighbor called. This may qualify as child endangerment. We'll need your statement and the parents' contact information. My phone buzzed. Rachel. I didn't answer. It buzzed again. Officer Blake nodded toward it. "You should probably take that." I put it on speaker. Rachel's voice exploded through the room. "Emma, where are my kids? The taxi driver said he dropped them off hours ago. What did you do?" My throat burned. "Rachel, you wrote the wrong address. You sent them to the wrong side of the city." Alone. Stunned silence. Then, "No, I gave him your street. You were supposed to be there. This is your fault, Emma, if you'd just done your job as an aunt." Any doubt I had about being too harsh disappeared. Officer Blake held out his hand. I passed him the phone. "Ms. Harper," he said, voice flat. "Your children were abandoned on a public sidewalk with no correct address and no supervising adult. You need to return immediately. This incident is being documented." Her voice shot up an octave. "Abandoned? I left them with a driver. People do that all the time. This is ridiculous." He ended the call. I looked down at Mia and Caleb, still clinging to me like I was the last safe thing in the world. And I knew If I stayed quiet, if I smoothed this over for family, I would be part of the danger. This wasn't a simple mistake. This was a choice. She gambled with their safety to punish me for one boundary. The next 48 hours felt like living inside a storm cloud. CPS called next. A woman named Ms. Caldwell, calm voice, practiced tone. "We're opening an assessment regarding Mia and Caleb," she said. "We'll need to interview you, their father and their mother." I agreed immediately. Then Mark called. I braced for yelling. Instead, he sounded shaken. "She told me you confirmed you could watch them," he said. "She said everything was arranged." I told her no, Mark, clearly, more than once. Silence. Then, "We're coming back to the city. I want to see the police report." While he was booking flights, my side of the family mobilized, but not for the kids, for Rachel. My mom called, voice sharp as glass. "Emma, CPS? The police? How could you do this to your sister? Do you want to ruin her life?" "She sent her kids alone in a taxi to the wrong side of the city," I said. "This isn't about her, it's about them." "Don't twist it," my mom snapped. "You've always been jealous of Rachel. You finally found your chance." "If you were me, what would you even say?" I hung up. Because if I didn't, I knew I'd start defending myself, softening everything like I always did. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just Rachel versus me anymore. It was a whole pattern. A system that taught me my pain didn't matter and her image did. And Mia and Caleb were the ones bleeding for it. If you're already fuming, you're not alone. Tell me in the comments if you think this is one bad decision or something darker. Because where we go next, lawyers, courtrooms, and consequences, made a lot of people say, this isn't just family drama. This is accountability. This is the kind of revenge reality brings when someone finally tells the truth. By the time Monday rolled around, I felt like I'd aged 5 years in 2 days. I'd barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I kept seeing Mia's tear-streaked face and hearing Caleb whisper, "We waited and waited." You know that feeling when your body is exhausted but your brain is on fire? That was me, pacing my tiny apartment, replaying everything, wondering how the hell I'd become the villain in my own family for refusing to cover up a crime. That morning, Mark's attorney called me. Her name was Ms. Foster, and her voice was the exact opposite of my family's chaos. Steady, sharp, all business. "Ms. Johnson," she said, "we're filing for emergency custody for Mia and Caleb. Your testimony will be crucial. I know this is difficult, but the more honest you are, the easier it'll be to protect them." It hit me then. This wasn't just CPS paperwork and some stern lecture for Rachel. This was court. Judges, records, real consequences. Part of me flinched. My whole life, I'd been taught that involving outsiders was betrayal. Family handles family issues, inside the family, but had the family ever really handled anything? Or had they just covered for Rachel? Ms. Foster must have heard my hesitation. Her voice softened slightly. "You're not doing this to your sister," she said. "You're doing this for those children. There's a difference." That line anchored me. This wasn't revenge. This was survival. Over the next couple of days, Mark and I sat at his kitchen table going through everything. Old texts, screenshots, call logs, all the evidence of the pattern we'd both been trying not to look directly at. Messages like, "Be a good aunt and take them. Don't make this complicated. You don't have kids, you don't get to be tired." Or the one that made my stomach turn. "You know I'd never do this to you if you had a real life." We pulled every time-stamped no I'd ever sent. Every time I'd said, "I'm working, I'm out of town, I can't," and she'd tried to guilt me anyway. It painted a clear picture. This wasn't a stressed mom making one mistake. This was months, years of weaponizing my love for those kids. The day of the hearing, the courthouse felt colder than outside. High ceilings, echoing footsteps, people in suits carrying folders that probably held entire lives inside. My hands shook so hard I kept sitting on them. Mark sat beside Ms. Foster at the front. I sat behind them. Technically just a witness, but emotionally right in the blast zone. When Rachel finally walked in, it felt like watching someone I used to know put on a costume. Her hair was curled, makeup soft, outfit chosen to scream, "Gentle Mom." She clutched a tissue before she even started crying. Her attorney placed a hand on her shoulder like she was the fragile one. For a second, I almost slipped back into my old role. The one who rushes in, smooths things over, takes the blame. Then I remembered Mia on that bench, shaking. I stayed in my seat. The hearing started. Rachel's attorney went first, and I swear I could feel my jaw clenching with every word. "Your Honor, my client is a devoted mother who made a single mistake under extraordinary stress. This situation has been blown out of proportion by a bitter, childless sister with a long history of jealousy." I felt my face heat up. Bitter, childless, jealous. The greatest hits. No mention of the kids, no mention of the taxi. Just character assassination aimed at me because I was the one who refused to stay quiet. He kept going. Mrs. Harper volunteers at the children's school, attends activities, and has been the primary caregiver their whole lives. She is devastated by this misunderstanding. Then it was Ms. Foster's turn. She stood, expression calm but eyes like knives. "Your Honor, we have law enforcement reports, CPS documentation, eyewitness statements, and a pattern of neglect that extends far beyond this single incident." She called the first witness, Officer Blake. He testified exactly what he'd told me, that the kids had been left on a sidewalk for at least 20 minutes, that the address was incomplete, that the building had no such apartment, that the children were distressed and confused. Next was Ms. Caldwell from CPS. She read from her notes. The prior calls from Mia's school about late pickups, the time Caleb was found wandering near a busy street, Mia telling a counselor she was scared of being forgotten again. You could feel the energy in the room shift. This wasn't one bad day anymore. This was a pattern. Then Ms. Foster called me. I walked to the stand, took the oath, sat down, and tried to stop my leg from shaking. I kept my eyes on Ms. Foster, not on Rachel. "Ms. Johnson," she began, "did you agree to babysit on the day of the incident?" "No," I said. "I told Rachel multiple times I wasn't available." "Did you clearly communicate that to her?" "Yes." "Were you aware she still intended to send the children to your address?" "No," I said. "I had absolutely no idea." Rachel's attorney got up for cross-examination, wearing that little smirk people get when they think they're about to trap you. "Ms. Johnson," he said, "isn't it true you've always resented your sister?" "No." "You're jealous of her life, her family, her success?" "No." He paced a little. "You've watched these children dozens of times, correct?" "Yes." "And this time you chose work over family?" I felt something in me steady. "No," I said. "This time, I chose safety over enabling reckless behavior. There's a difference." For the first time since this started, I saw a flicker in his expression like he hadn't expected me to push back. Finally, it was Rachel's turn to testify. She cried almost immediately. "I thought they were going to my sister's home," she said, voice shaking. "I didn't mean for anything bad to happen. I wrote the address fast. I had no idea the driver would get confused. I'm a good mom. I was overwhelmed. If I hadn't known the full story, maybe I would have bought it. I used to buy it every time." Ms. Foster's cross-examination was brutal in how simple it was. "Mrs. Harper," she said, "is it true you didn't confirm your sister would be home that day?" "I assumed she would be," Rachel mumbled. "Is it true you left your children with a driver without verifying the building had the apartment you wrote down?" "I was in a hurry." "And is it true this is not the first time you have failed to properly supervise your children?" "That's exaggerated." "It's documented," Ms. Foster replied. The room went quiet. The judge leaned forward, expression carved in stone. "This is not a single lapse in judgment," he said. "This is a pattern of disregard for the safety of these children." Rachel's face crumpled. I felt Mark's hand brush mine for a second, just long enough to say silently, "Thank you, I'm here. We're doing this." The judge read the decision. Primary physical custody will be awarded to Mr. Harper. Mrs. Harper's visitation will be supervised until she completes parenting courses, individual therapy, and demonstrates sustained behavioral change. The court's priority is the welfare of Mia and Caleb. It was over, just like that. In the hallway afterward, Rachel stormed up to me, eyes wild. "You ruined my life," she hissed. I looked at her, really looked at her. The person who sent 2 little kids alone in a taxi to prove a point. "You nearly ruined theirs," I said. And I meant every word. For the first time, Rachel had no comeback. No story to spin where she was the victim and I was the jealous, bitter sister. The story was on paper now, in reports, in court records. Reality had finally outvoted her version. Life didn't magically become peaceful after that. There were awkward holidays. Family members who still whispered that I took it too far. People who said I'd gone nuclear instead of keeping it in the family. But then I'd see Mia sleeping through the night again. I'd see Caleb run around without needing the hallway light on. I'd see Mark building real routines. Homework charts on the fridge, dinner at the table, bedtime that actually meant bedtime. And I'd think, if protecting them makes me the villain in my family's story, I'll wear that role with pride. So yeah, if you're wondering if this whole thing was revenge, it didn't start that way. It started with one small no and a lifetime of being tired. Maybe the real revenge isn't what I did, but what reality finally did to the narrative they built about me. If you've ever been painted as the bad guy for finally choosing yourself and the vulnerable people around you, tell me in the comments. Do you think I went too far or not far enough? Am I the asshole here, or just the first person in my family who stopped keeping their secrets? And if you want to hear how things look months later, when the dust really settles, hit like, share this with someone who needs courage, and subscribe. Because this story didn't end in that courtroom. That was just the first honest chapter. So that's where I am now. I'm the aunt who called CPS, the sister who destroyed the family story, the daughter who stopped playing the quiet, helpful background character. And I'm not gonna lie, there are nights I still lie awake and think, did I go too far? Am I in the wrong? Am I the asshole for finally saying no? But then I remember Mia sleeping through the night without nightmares. I remember Caleb laughing instead of clinging to me, terrified of being left again. And I remember that sidewalk, that phone call from the officer, and the way my sister said, "Your life doesn't matter like mine does." The biggest lesson I've learned? Sometimes protecting kids means disappointing adults. Sometimes choosing yourself looks like betrayal to the people who were benefiting from you having no boundaries. So I want to hear from you, honestly. If you were in my place, what would you have done? Do you think I overreacted? Or was this the only way to break the cycle? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this with someone who needs courage to set a boundary, and hit subscribe if you want to hear what happened in the months after the court ruling. This story definitely doesn't end here.